Hey guys, Not So Average Builder here. Today we're going to have a special video. We're going to take this and turn it into something very useful in model making. And the only thing you need are paper towel, some parchment paper, non-waxed, and your Tupperware container. And you need a pair of scissors. So, can anyone guess what we're about to make? And if you don't, it's no big deal. I didn't learn about these until recently. And I'm about to set one up for the first time as well today, so we can kind of go along together. So we're going to take this Tupperware container, this paper towel, and this piece of parchment paper, and we're going to turn it into a wet palette. Now what a wet palette is when you have acrylic paints and you just start taking them out of the tube, or you put them in your dish, your dry palette, like this one right here. And you leave it in there, and you're painting, and you're painting, and you're painting, and in a few minutes you go to get more, and it's dry. Or it's clumpy, and it's terrible, and you can't use it, and you're mad at life, because then you have to scoop more out. If you're using, like, Vallejo, it's easy. But if you're using, like, the Citadel paints, because they're a paint pod, they make them a little bit easier, because they've got this little lip that comes out. But with Vallejo paints, you have to take them out. That is, you have to squeeze them out. The problem with that is it's going to dry out. And it's going to be terrible, and you're going to have to do it, and you're going to waste a lot of paint that way. So with a wet palette, you can essentially put your paints right onto the parchment paper, and with water, obviously, and it will keep your paints wet and workable for a long time. So the only thing you need to do is trace out the outside of your bowl, which I've already done, and then you're going to cut that out. So then you're left with your excess, push that to the side. Then you're going to take your paper towel, which fits perfectly in the dish, and I'm going to go put water in this. I don't have a faucet nearby, so I will be right back. Alright, so we've got a regular tap water, nothing special, nothing fancy. But you want to get these air bubbles out, so we'll pop those to the side. Get those all out. And basically what you're going to do is you're just going to let your paper towel soak up as much water as possible. And you can flip it over if you want. But you just want to make sure that it's completely 100% saturated, which it is. So then you're just going to drain the excess water. So let me go do that real quick. Now that you've got that, you're going to use your parchment paper, and you're going to cut it to the size of your dish as well. Okay, so I cut off a strip that's a little bit bigger. I'll lay it down this way just to make things easier. Work with me. So then you want to fit it to as close to the size as possible. And normally you would want a pen or something to mark this with, and my Sharpie seems to have run off, and I don't know where it went. So and it doesn't have to be exact. The goal is you want it to fit down in your tray. And I'm not going to make it exactly perfect. So with this, because this likes to roll up, you're going to want to take the opposite direction, and you're just going to lay it in there. You're going to let this side soak in as much water, get the air bubbles out. And once this soaks in, this will be the base for your wet palette. You let that soak for a few minutes. And then we're going to flip it over to make sure that the parchment paper is 100% saturated. So after it's soaked in for a few minutes, you take You flip this side over, and you want to make sure that you don't use pre-waxed. It has to be just 100% parchment paper. And your wet pallet's ready. So essentially, I can take my deep blue by Vallejo, which is an acrylic color, and just put a couple drops on there. And with my lid, this will stay completely workable for a while. Now, if you want to make sure that it's a true wet palette, you'll get a piece of Tupperware that has a seal around it. I wasn't really that worried about it, so I didn't do that. So, because I'm going to end up changing this a lot. But yeah, that is that simple. And we're actually going to use the wet palette a little bit today, possibly. So stay tuned for that. But that's all for now, guys. If you have any questions or comments, comment on the video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Good old thumbs up. But don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when my next video drops. So, thank you very much.